911 That's me! That's me!
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hello, everybody. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's real vile time. Real vile time. R to the E to the E to the L time. Yes. And tonight we will be talking about the 1981 cult classic Possession. Very exciting. But first, I'm going to introduce my co-host, my amazing people that I share Real Vile with. And that is starting off with the undeniable, the babe with the power, all driller, no filler, Kelly the Killer Miller.
Hey, hey,
hey. That's what I'm talking about, saying hey, hey, hey to the people, baby. Ow.
Woo.
All right. And of course, next up, we got the big dog himself, the sinister, the prime minister, Mr. Ruthless Chris.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on?
Man, that is the question of the day. What is going on, baby doll? What is going on? I've been taking it easy, taking it sleazy, day off from work, been chilling, watching movies. You know how I do. How about you guys? What have you been up to?
Shit, I've been slammed with work, but I quit smoking cigarettes. I haven't smoked a cigarette in 12 days. Woo!
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah.
Big congrats, baby.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Keep fighting the good fight.
I'm working on it.
I feel bad for Ethan. She gets really mean when she tries to quit cigarettes.
I think the worst of it's over. We're past that hump now.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, last week it was a rough week, but
Yeah.
we're over it. We're over it.
I had a lot going on this week. You know, we had the show at the Gaelic Club. This time it's war. That turned out real well. I got to pick up Sakuda from the airport, and the first thing he wanted, straight from Japan. Now he got laid over from LA to Dallas to Detroit before, like, so he went from Japan, LA, Dallas, then Detroit.
Shit.
Gets off the airplane. The first thing he wants is greasy cheeseburgers. So
Hell
he
yeah.
took him to Americana Bistro, and he got himself some sliders that had barbecue brisket, onion rings, and white cheddar on them.
Hell
Holy
yeah.
shit. Those sound amazing.
So yeah, show went well. Sakuda was a fun time. We had to talk through his phone. He had like a little translator app, which made things fun.
Oh, cool.
Up on IWTV by the time you hear this, and we announced that we are going to be making our Jersey debut April 2nd as part of the Faces of Death weekend with ICW, No Holds Barred, and H2O, Matt Tremont's place. So keep an eye out for info on that.
Hell yeah.
I like it. I love it. Give me more of it. Ow. And I think what is this a trend where Japanese wrestlers love greasy American food? Is that a thing?
It is, because when Danny had Kobayashi, and it's the first thing he wanted to do too was go get a burger. They don't get good they have like McDonald's and those style burgers up there. They don't have like the greasy diner burgers. That's what they want. They don't want like a quality burger. They want like a greasy diner burger.
Yeah. Like your
And, like, that's the
standard cheap American burger. Like the one, maybe not as fancy as the one on the menu, but you know, your classic American cheese fucking.
Oh no, they want that
greasy.
Coney Island burger. You know, they want
shit.
that like where you got like some big mama sweating in your hash browns, working the grill. You know, like making that thing sizzle for you. And then Danny ended up taking him out for cheesesteaks in Philly, and he fucking loved that shit too. So it was cool having Sakuda. It's our first Japanese talent in the ring. Hopefully, not our last. It was a good fucking time. It was a good week. We sold the show out too. It was a blast. Super violent. Some cool surprises. Definitely go check that shit out.
Awesome. Can't wait to check it out on IWTV. We ready to get this terror train on the tracks, babies?
Hells
Chug
yeah.
a lug, baby.
All right. Why don't you start us off then, Miss Kelly the Killer Miller? What you been watching, baby?
All right. I've been wanting to watch this for years, and I finally seen a copy for pretty cheap on Amazon. So after me and my boyfriend were talking about it, so I swooped it up. This is 2006 Roman. It's like the I don't know, kind of like sister piece to May. It was, I think, 4 years later. Angela Bettis, the star of May, directed this one, and the star of this one, Lucky McKee, directed May. He also directed Old Man, a new one, Tales of Halloween, The Woman. He's got a Masters of Horror. I found out. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, Lucky McKee's the shit.
Yeah, he's been doing some shit.
It was called Sick Girl, the Masters of Horror he does. That's also with Angela
Yeah, that's
Bettis.
the one. Yep.
It's very cool.
Hell yeah. I mean, but this one's pretty low budget. Like you can definitely tell it's really low budget, but that didn't take away from the movie. It follows this guy. He's living in this apartment complex and he kind of becomes obsessed with his neighbor. And his neighbor's played by Kristen Bell. You know, like she's a lot bigger nowadays, and back then she was not as big. But yeah, he becomes obsessed with her. They hook up. I'm not gonna, she dies, and this kind of goes into like his madness and like his obsession with her. And another neighbor kind of like he kind of starts getting interested in her, but he's still haunted by the first girl, Kristen Bell. The thing I love May. May is one of my like all-time favorites. It's I watched it a lot in my teens. That was one of my go-tos. But
I think you still have a copy that used to belong to me at one point.
I think I've rebought it. I don't know what's happened to yours, but I know I've bought that movie more than once over the years. But I like this because whereas May, she was building her friend, where this one's more focused around like getting rid of it, like releasing it as opposed to collecting. It's like the polar opposite of what May was. It was enjoyable. The acting in it was great, even though for his low budget, and you can tell it's really low budget, everything from the camera work to everything. Like it looks like something, like a student grade film, but like that doesn't take away from how good the actual story is. It is kind of slow, and there's like a weird twist at the end with the neighbor, but I enjoyed this one. Not as much as I did May, but I thought this was great. I'd still give it about a 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that one. I know that I bought it when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's intense. It's very well done.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that it hasn't gotten like repressed or something by one of these boutique labels, because it definitely deserves to be. And I would like to watch it again. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. Do you know if it's streaming anywhere? I don't think
it is. That's why I ended up buying it, because me and my boyfriend got to talking about it because he's seen it, and I'm surprised. I said that. I've always said that. Like, I need to see Roman, but it is kind of hard to come across. So I looked for it, on the streaming services, didn't find it, and just seen a pretty cheap copy on Amazon.
That's awesome. But I would also probably give it a 3 as well. Good movie. And a little slow, a little plodding, but at the same time, beautifully shot, very smart, very well done. How about you, Chris? Have you seen this one?
I have. I think I give it 2.5. It's been a while, but I remember not really enjoying it all that much. I probably need to give it another whack. It was when I found it. It was on like a 4-pack. You know how you get like those? You'd be at like Walmart, and there'd be the bin of movies, and it'd just be like these random 4-packs. It was on that with like some other really cheap horror movies. And I watched it one night, and I remember thinking it was all right, but it was no May. But I also probably went into it expecting another May. So maybe maybe I contaminated my viewing before I ever went in, kind of thing. So I'll give it a shot, but I give it 2.5 from what I remember about it.
That's fair.
That's legit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, big dog, Mr. Ruthless Chris, what have you been watching lately? What's been wetting your palate, baby?
So a while back, Kelly and I, we hit the new and used record store, and they have like a really cool selection usually of like cult used films and stuff. So I bought myself a whole stack, and the first one I watched was the Arrow uncut version of the Mutilator, also known as Fall Break. I had not seen this. I had not seen the uncut version ever. I've only seen what was the VHS copy when I was in high school. You know, we rented it a couple times because it had a salacious cover. And I remember that one being okay. You know, like a serviceable slasher, you know, whodunit kind of mystery flick. This one, the uncut version was a whole lot bloodier. Like it really pulls no fucking punches. It is a crazy movie. I definitely enjoyed the uncut version a lot more. It's a fun 80s camp movie. You know, you got your dumb range of characters are gonna go to a beach house and they start getting picked off one by one. That old chestnut. They have a theme song for this fucking movie that like it is the most slap happy. It was on the DVD menu and I forgot about it from when I first watched it. I actually sent these guys a clip of it because it just does not fit it at all. It's like a Huey Lewis and the News song, like about fall break and gonna go and having a good time with your friends and all that. And like it's like for this movie where they're getting like literally chopped to bits and hung on meat hooks. So yeah, it was a blast in a campy way. I would definitely check out the Arrow edition, which I believe all of Arrow's stuff is on Tubi, like the Arrow editions of everything. So you can watch this on Tubi. But I had a blast with it going and rewatching it. Like I said, it's a bunch of teens. They're going to this kid's father's cabin to go close it up for the winter. You know, they're going to go put antifreeze in the pipes and, you know, all that. But, you know, his friends tag along. So they're going to have a party before the winter season. You know, they're going to go out there, get loose at the cabin, have some of that premarital sex some kids are always fond of, and have some beers. It was funny. They do the have some beer scene, and there's 6 of them in a convertible. And the guy buys a fucking 6-pack, and then he like tricks the guy behind the cashier into like giving him 10% off if he gets another 6-pack. So he buys 12 beers for 6 people. They're gonna go potty hard, 2 beers each. But yeah, it was super gory. It was a brisk watch. I think it was only like 70 minutes. The Blu-ray was cool because they had a whole extra disc of like there was so many extras on this thing. There's a feature length making of all that stuff, which was pretty cool to go through. I recommend it. I give it 3.5 for this version of it. If I remember correctly, I probably would have only gave the version I had saw that was on or that was cut probably like a 2.5. So this was a much superior version. Definitely check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I think I watched it when it was streaming on Tubi. I feel like it makes a great companion piece to oh god. Now that I started the sentence, I can't think. What's the name? The Thanksgiving movie we just talked about.
Blood Rage.
Blood
Rage.
Yeah.
Kind of makes a great companion piece to that just because of the level of campiness. But like, yeah, the beach house being closed up for the winter and stuff. It's a classic setup and a classic story, but at the same time, it has its own unique twist on it. I would give this one a 3 as well, just because, you know, it's campy and fun. How about you, Kelly? You've seen this one or no?
I don't think so. It's not ringing a bell with me. I was with Chris when he bought it. So, yeah, and I remember the cover. Plus, he just held it up. But, yeah, I don't think I have. Sounds fun, though. If you're comparing it to Blood Rage, man, like, it sounds fucking enjoyable, you know?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have the cruel sense of humor of Blood Rage, but it's on par with the gore, that's for sure.
Oh, good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the first film I'm going to talk about is a 1969 film called Scream Baby Scream. It's streaming on Amazon Prime, and I was just kind of like flipping through things, and it kind of caught my eye, and I'm glad it did. It takes place in like the beatnik times, and there's like an art class where the kids are doing paintings, right? And then this like macabre artist comes in, and he's going to teach them all how to look at the dark side of life. And students start getting killed off one by one, and well, not killed off, but they're missing. Well, it turns out that said macabre artist is torturing and mutilating these students so that they become like hideous not mutants, but like they're all scarred up and their eyes are like hanging out of their face and stuff. They're still
Disfigured?
alive. They're just kind of weird looking.
Like mangled or something.
Disfigured.
Yes.
Yes.
It reminded me a lot
Disfigured.
of kind of like the movie Freakmaker, but not as much. Yes. Yeah, if you've seen that one.
We should do Freemaker at some point.
Yeah, right? It's similar in the story to that, except with the whole art school angle. It definitely was more along the lines of Roger Corman's Bucket of Blood. Is it?
Okay. I love Bucket of Blood.
Yeah.
Dick Miller.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's funny because in like the last scene of the movie, over the loudspeaker, they're in a hospital and there says, paging Dr. Corman. I was like, all right, we got you. You're wearing your, even though this was made in 1969, it was obviously influenced by Roger Corman's films, because there's also like a big scene where there's an acid trip going on. And if you've seen Roger Corman's film, The Trip, it definitely brought to mind that movie as well. So just for fun and just for like the definite Roger Corman homages, I would give this one a 3.5.
I have not seen this one. That's definitely a whole. But I have been going. I decided that, and this is going to affect the podcast coming up, that I'm going to go into a full moon / Corman hole. So the full moon is gonna play into some of my reviews later. But so I'll make it a point to get to that one.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, definitely check it out if you get a chance. Kelly, have you seen this one or no?
No, but I almost watched it when we were doing the From the Mouths of Madness, the 60s week. Like, this was on my list of ones I might watch. So now I'm wishing I would have chose this one over some of the ones I did choose. But yeah, I'm going to have to check that out.
Very cool. Well, what's next on your list of things you've been checking out, baby?
All right. This one I didn't even expect to go in to watch like a horror movie. I like to fall asleep to like Discovery Plus shows, like some of them supernatural ghost shows, and like, a lot of murder porn, a lot of true crime porn. But I threw this one on. It was another Eli Roth produced one. So I was like, oh, all right. Which he's recently been doing stuff for like Travel Channel and Discovery Plus, like Ghost Ruined My Life. But those are like your basic ones, with the person giving their accounts of what happened, with the reenactments and stuff like that. This one wasn't like that. This was a straight up horror anthology based on urban legends. Like, they had the one with the spider eggs in the girl's face. There was, the first one had a lot to do with like dark web snuff shit.
Wasn't the spider eggs in the face from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? Wasn't that one of those?
Possibly. Maybe that's derived from an urban legend too.
Yeah,
like, it also, there's another episode like about the prom dress that's stolen from a funeral. They resold her dress after she died, and then the girl that bought it is haunted. So that's one of those stories. But this was pretty good. Like, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I stayed up for a few episodes rather than like falling asleep to it like I planned on doing. It was more than I would ever expect to be on Discovery Plus. But I mean, it still had that vibe of some of those shows. I mean, they have different directors for each episode, so some are better than others, obviously. But it was worth bringing up, especially for a Discovery Plus show. Like, I just totally didn't expect it. I'd recommend it. I'd give it a 3 for what it is.
What's that called again? I didn't catch the name.
Urban Legend.
All right, I'm gonna definitely check that out. I've been looking for a new TV show to watch. Speaking of TV shows, the Last of Us TV show is definitely worth watching. You don't have to play the video game. Great shit going on in HBO with that. But go on.
I mean, by no means is it like Tales from the Crypt, or even like the what's the one that was on Netflix, the Del Toro one? Cabinet of Curiosities. Yeah, it's not like that good, and it still has like hints of those feelings that you do get from those shows on Discovery Plus, but it has no right almost being on that network, like that streaming platform. I just feel like it's in between that and like Shudder is where I would place it, I suppose. But yeah, I'd
Right on.
recommend it.
Very
Completely
cool.
caught me off guard.
Definitely have to check out that Urban Legends, baby. Ow!
Oh, and also after the episodes they've got a lot of like discussions, like there's more episodes with discussions of the directors and where they got the idea for it. If you're into that sort of like extra sort of thing too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Making of behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
Gotta love that type of thing.
Yeah.
How about you, big dog, ruthless Chris? What's next on your agenda, baby?
Well, like I said, I've been dicking around with a little bit of Corman, a little bit of Full Moon. One of the things I really love is like there was like a boom in the early '90s of like technological horror. Like you had your Lawnmower Mans and your Brain Scans, Ghost in the
Yeah.
Machine. I love those movies. I think that those things are hilarious, especially with like how bad they date. So Corman, or not Corman, Charlie Band came in with his own version of that called Arcade, which is a mild ripoff of Brain Scan, just without the trickster. It has its own thing. Basically, what you got is and Seth Green's in this thing too, a very young Seth Green, still playing a high school kid in '93. So that tells you how old this motherfucker somehow is. um, so what you have here is you got your group of high school kids, and this is also right around like where all the bad kids hung around arcades, smoking their cigarettes and being all loitery like bad kids do. So there's this new machine that the kids are all wanting to try. They're passing out flyers. Come try this new machine. And the machine itself is called Arcade. It's very well titled. So they have like this. They have all the teenagers come. They want to try this machine. One kid goes in it and you put on like a VR headset, and then they put on like VR gloves just to handle joysticks. So you got to put the gloves on to handle the joysticks, apparently. And then they go into the great CGI, what the world is like. And what it is it's a tunnel with rotating spikes coming out of the walls, and it rocks a little bit. And they're just kind of going through the tunnel, and light kind of follows them. They're all, ah! It's fantastic. Like it's pure early '90s wonderment. The kids try it. They put one more kid in, and they're like, all right, well, while he's finishing up, I got home units for you guys all to take home. You got to let us know what you guys think. Bring the units back. This is like a trial run. We want your comment cards. Dude in the machine never comes back. Kids with the take home units, crazy shit starts happening. There's a big CGI demon. There's fight scenes with computer chips. There's dragons, and there's dragons with computer chip wings. There's the CGI in this shit. This makes it worth my jaw was on the fucking floor watching this thing. I had a blast with it. It's definitely turn your brain off entertainment, like to laugh at pretty much. It's got a pretty funny early Seth Green role. Like I said, this is like 92, 93. Watch, it's on all of the free ones, Tubi, Freevee, all that shit. Yeah, Arcade. I give it 3 enthusiastic. If you like shit like Lawnmower Man and Scanners, but you want like the even worse version of it, your man Charlie Band hooked it up over there at Full Moon Entertainment.
Hell yeah, that sounds like a hoot.
It is kind of like, Mom, can we get Lawnmower Man? No, we already have Lawnmower Man at home. Lawnmower Man at home is Arcade.
This makes Lawnmower Man 2 Job's War look like a masterpiece.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I haven't seen Arcade or thought about Arcade in decades, not since it originally came out, because I was ecstatic. I was so excited for it to come out. It kept being advertised, full page advertisements in the back of Fangoria when I was a kid. And when it finally came out and it was exactly as you described it, I
would have been pissed at the time, but like for the time capsule looking back,
I was not happy. I was not a happy little Germ 2 Ripper. I was mad. Oh, But anyway, yeah, I would have to go back and watch this again before I give it a rating because just thinking about how mad it made me, I'm not I'm getting aggravated just thinking about Arcade by Charles Band, Full Moon Entertainment now. Oof. Kelly, have you seen this film?
I don't. This one also doesn't ring a bell, but I'm interested. I'm here
Great
for
cover too. It's just a girl in a motorcycle helmet with a joystick, and behind her there's a grid, and there's a CGI sphere, and a dragon, and a mountain, all made from computers.
Like, if you could think of the worst CGI ever
it.
invented, oof.
That hallway with the spiral spikes was scary. Okay, there was a
Sorry.
light orb. It followed you. After their eyes came away from the machine, it smoked. That's terror.
Have
What
I
would Chris
seen this?
Angel
I
do?
don't know.
I wouldn't play that
Whoa.
fucking game.
What you got, Germ?
Well, thank you for bringing me back in, Kelly, because I was still just I was flabbergasted about thinking about our. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, the next one I'm gonna talk about is a giallo that I'd always wanted to watch. Chris, stop it! Put that phone
Go.
away. I'm talking now. Anyways, was a giallo that I always wanted to see. It was called Watch Me When I Kill, came out in 1977, and I didn't even realize that it was a giallo. I thought it was like maybe a bad American slasher because of the artwork on the cover, and it's obviously very Lucio Fulci influenced. Right away it starts out with a black glove killer coming out of the dark, slashing people's throats. Everybody's trying to figure out who the killer is. And it revolves around these people that you know first it's like a florist, and then it's like, okay, well, all these people that are getting killed off were in the same jury in a courthouse, very much like other giallo films. The story the story's kind of convoluted at times, but the story in most of these films is kind of irrelevant. You just watch it to enjoy the art of the film. And it's Italian, it's well done. And there's one scene where there's a dog, and the dog is actually named Fulci. I was like, once again, they're fully just wearing their influences on their sleeve, and I loved it. It was actually a really well made film, because there are actually a lot of Fulci movies that aren't too great. So I was pretty excited to watch this and to be thoroughly impressed about how first the title "Watch Me When I Kill" it drags you in. Like, I've got to watch this movie, and then when they stick to like the rules, it's got to have black gloves, using a blade, cutting throats, blood's got to be really red, and it's just really well done. And if you like late 70s Italian, I mean, most giallo is Italian, it's supposed to be, but you know what I'm trying to say. If you like those type of films, you should check out Watch Me When I Kill, because it is actually way better than I expected, and I would give it a hard 4.
I almost put this on the other day because I thought it had a great name as well. And Shudder, like a month back, just dumped a shit ton of giallos, like a bunch I haven't seen. So
Yeah,
I've
they
been
got a
meaning
whole
to,
like category.
yeah, I've been meaning to dive into those too. I've been meaning to watch a lot of shit. I've been around the house a lot more lately though, so I've been getting a lot more watching done. But yeah, I haven't checked this one out. Wanted to check it out. Is it one of those? My favorite subgenre of giallo is the whisper killer. Does it have the whisper killer?
Like I was saying though, it's hard to even explain because, okay, first it's like, oh, they're killing this guy because he's an escaped killer. Well, that's not the killer though. There's lots of red herrings. I don't think there was any whispering. But
what I mean by
lot of.
You know what I mean by like the whisper giallo, though, where the killer is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah.
The same voice, but it says it really quiet, even though it's like,
Yeah, I know exactly.
Reminiscent of the original Black Christmas. This one, This one operated more on sound effects. He would call his victims ahead of time and play sound effects from because he was escaped from a Nazi war camp and he was tortured
Naturally.
there. So he was playing like sounds of Doberman pinchers because that's what they used there, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Yeah, it was kind of hard to keep track of, but at the same time, a great watch. I fully enjoyed it. But like you said, I'm pretty. It was it's streaming on Shutter, so if you got Shutter, check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
My movie is also streaming on Shutter. This one is 2021's A Banquet. This one was kind of weird. It follows a family, the mom and two daughters. They're dealing with the loss of the mom's husband, the girl's dad. Daughter starts acting strange after she goes to a party one night and like she kind of like zones out on the moon and like loses herself. But after that, she just kind of stops eating like completely, and it's really freaking her mom out. Um, like, and then she starts implying that it's due to some sort of higher power, like she was chosen to do this, and the movie kind of balances on like is this girl crazy or is there some supernatural thing going on here? Um I don't know. It was all right. It was the cinematography in this one was phenomenal. I loved like the camera shots and everything in this. Although it was kind of slow, it had like a like Hereditary, I suppose, sort of pace. Although it wasn't as good as Hereditary. It was okay. It like they kind of got you believing like the mom starts believing her and the little sister starts believing her and you're like, is this a supernatural thing? I don't know. I'd give it a 2.5. I didn't think it was awesome, but it's worth a watch. I don't want to say too much without giving a lot away. It is kind of predictable though, so like I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. It was a really pretty movie, and the way it was filmed, I think definitely was a plus side on this one. Yeah,
Very cool.
two and a half, 3.
Yeah, if you say you enjoyed it, baby, you know what? I might
Yeah.
check it out myself because
Yeah.
if Kelly the Killer Miller is enjoying it, then I might enjoy it as well. How about you, Big Dog Ruthless Chris? Have you seen this one?
I have not seen this one. No.
Yeah, it definitely deals with the subject of anorexia and like not eating. So if you're triggered by that thing, I wouldn't recommend this one. But yeah.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
it's something to check out, babies.
The acting was solid, and like I said, it was real pretty.
I like pretty things, baby. I like pretty things. Let's go. Let's keep it rolling. Big Dog, Ruthless Chris, what do you got for us next?
So last week I got like a hair up my ass. I realized I haven't really seen any of the horror offerings of Brian De Palma. So I kind of dove into that with a movie called Sisters. Have either of you guys seen Sisters?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is classic. That is magnificent. Well done and beautiful. That is one of my favorite Brian De Palma films.
Yeah,
don't
I
think
hadn't
have
seen it. You would love it, Kelly.
Yeah.
It's very Hitchcock. It is. I'm not even sure I would call this a horror movie. It's more a thriller, but it has some deep horror elements to it. This one was really cool. I went in blind. I checked out this and I checked out Dress to Kill. I'll probably talk about Dress to Kill in another episode. But Sisters, yeah. So you have a woman who's she's dating this man. She's separated from her husband. She's dating this man. A murder happens in her apartment. And she has a neighbor who lives across the way that witnesses the murder through the window. She calls the police. And what it turns into, what's really cool is it goes into this split screen where you're following the neighbor, calling the cops, and then following her down her apartment complex. She's going to meet the cops at the front of the other apartment complex, bring them up, right? But on the other side, you're seeing what's going on in the other apartment as they try to cover this crime up before the cops come. It's really stylishly done. It's very Hitchcock, like I said before. The when it does get violent, it gets very brutal, but there's some really cool psychological stuff that happens in it too that kind of revolves around the ex-husband and what his job is. I mean, I really don't want to say a lot about it. But this is, I've always enjoyed the De Palma movies I have seen, but it was more on like the gangster side of stuff. And I had wanted to check out more of the horror, the thriller stuff. So like this and like Blowout and Dress to Kill, things like that. So I've been kind of going through those, and this one really was good. It really surprised me. The twist, you can kind of see a mile like from like scene 2, but it's what happens along the way that you don't see coming. It definitely does some really cool different stuff. It's shot really well. Definitely highly recommend. I'll give this thing 4.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Sisters,
Brian De
it's on
Palma, was he the
HBO
one?
Max.
Was he the one that did the Progeny?
No, that's Brian Usna. Brian De Palma.
Okay,
did,
yeah,
like,
you're right. Brian. Yeah, all right, all
like
right.
the
never mind.
Untouchables.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Rosemary's Baby was another one he did, though, baby.
Ah.
No, that was Roman Polanski.
Yeah, that was definitely
we're all messed up, baby.
That
I
was
don't even know what I'm talking about. Jeez Louise. Holy guacamole. But yeah, I give it a 4 as
He did,
well.
like,
That is a
Raising
great
Cain.
movie. What?
Okay.
He did Carrie.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that name.
Carface. Carlito's Way. He did Raising Cain. Obsession. Passion. He made a lot of shit. Mission Impossible. But yeah, it was definitely an awesome movie. Definitely worth watching.
Well, regardless, we'll say Sisters is an absolutely magnificent piece of art, and give it a 4 as well. Gotta check that out.
Yeah, we'll check it out. You said it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, you would really love it, Kelly.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, because I think HBO Max has licenses to a lot of the Criterion stuff, and they
I think you're right.
Criterion did release it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my last movie to talk about before we get to the big subject matter is possibly most likely the most disturbing movie. I actually forgot how disturbing this movie is, but I put it on the other night because I bought it a while back, and I was like, well, I gotta watch it. In a Glass Cage. I don't know if you've seen this or heard of this or not.
I've heard of it.
This sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's streaming on Tubi, and that's where I originally watched it maybe a year or two ago. But it was made in 1986, and director's name I'm gonna mess up, of course, but I believe it's pronounced Augusti Villaranga, something like that. And it's funny that when I watched it was 2 nights ago, the same day he passed away. But the film is about a Nazi soldier who had tried to kill himself and survived and is now in an iron lung, a glass cage of sorts. And this man now, has weaseled his way into the house, and he had witnessed a murder, and now he wants to get close to this Nazi in the iron lung. And so he poses as a nurse and starts taking care of him. And it comes to turn out that this Nazi officer that tried to kill himself was also a pedophile and like molested and killed lots of little boys. Yeah, it's really, really disgusting and really disturbing. If you ever want to be like, oh, you seen some fucked up shit, let me tell you about In a Glass Cage.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't see this one.
Yeah, the scenes where the boy man nurse nurse. Yeah, he starts bringing young boys to the Nazi who's trapped in the iron lung and undressing them to watch so that he can watch him undress these young boys and then kill them is kind of like the most disturbing part.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
But yeah, like the twist is this is one of the boys that he had molested, and he kind of grew up, and now he's going to get revenge on him, and he kills the guy's wife. I think if I remember right, he just messes up his life and like destroys everything, and so it's kind of like a cross between Sallow, 120 Days with Sodom, and Apt Pupil. If you've seen Apt Pupil, the Stephen King film,
great movie.
Yeah, so if you combine those two very disturbing films, you've got the uber disturbing film of In a Glass Cage. And it was funny because I was watching the behind the scenes documentary on the Blu-ray, and the director actually talks about how this is based on actual historic events from the Spanish Civil War, but he wanted it to make it be more topical in the 80s, so he had it take place in like the Holocaust and World War II. And yeah, it's very hard to watch. And I forgot how disturbing it was because I watched it on Tubi on small TV in the living room, in the middle of the day. And while watching it on the movie screen down in my basement late at night was a little bit more like, oh shit, this is fucked up. But at the same time, I say it is a masterwork of fucked upness. And if you are one of those people like myself who likes to see the worst or the most disturbing cinema, then this is a must-watch film. You got to watch it at least once. And
that's usually what I say. Like I'll watch those things once, but it's not usually. I'm not into a lot of like the torture horror myself, but I watch it.
Well, it's funny because after watching this, I was like, a Serbian film isn't so bad, and maybe I should go back and watch that again. But I should probably, maybe take a little while in the pedophile murderer movies for a little bit. But yeah, if you haven't seen In a Glass Cage and you like disturbing films, definitely give it a one time over because it is amazing. And I give it 5 stars all day just for being what it is. Yeah, must watch, must check it out.
And now for our feature presentation.
Is that it?
Yeah, never.
Have we gone 3 rounds?
Oh, yeah. We gone 3 rounds. Ding, ding, ding. Mm-hmm.
Ding, ding, ding. Know what time it is, babies? It's time to take that train to Spoiler Town. Take that train to Spoiler Town. And we are talking about the 1981 occult classic Possession by director Andrei Zulawski. And yes, I Googled how to pronounce that before the show.
Hell yeah.
It is spelled real fucked up.
It really is. It doesn't look like it would be pronounced like that.
No.
Yeah. So this is my first time watching Possession. I remember seeing the case a million times at the video store, not growing up, but as an adult. And I still pass by it because that artwork just looks super cheesy, like kind of Medusa.
That's what interested me in it. Like, I'm surprised I haven't watched this before because it was the cover art. Or I'm like, oh, that looks up my alley. Plus, I like possession movies, and that's what I was expecting, but it's not.
But it's not.
I was the only one of the group that had seen this before. So when it was proposed to watch it, because it just got added to Shudder, and it is notoriously never been streamed anywhere, and it's been like very hard to really see. As the only person that had seen the group, I was like, oh yeah, let's do Possession just to see. Like I was just like, not gonna tell any of these guys what it's about. I'm gonna let them go in blind and let's see what they think about this fucking thing.
Well, it was, it was really weird because, like Kelly said, I expected it to be more of like a possession film, and really, it was more of like a weird psychological drama based between, it dealt
very
with
metaphoric.
The social constructs between a man and a woman and their marriage, and it made me really glad I'm not a heterosexual because that was just it was a very weird dynamic, and it just kept going. I feel like I'd have to watch it about 10 more times before I came close to understanding it.
I can help with that.
The husband comes back from a business trip. The wife has been having an affair. She wants a divorce. And after she says that she wants a divorce, things just sort of spiral out of control from there. And there's arguing, there's bloodshed, there's gore, and then there's a creepy fucking monster that looks like something out H.P. Lovecraft story.
That's banging the wife.
And it's banging the wife, and it was interesting because when she was building or bringing the monster to life, it reminded me of Hellraiser when they're bringing the dude back from the dead.
Frank.
Yes, bringing Frank back from the dead. So it reminded me of that, which Hellraiser came out a few years later. So
Probably
it was I definitely loved it. But I got to watch it a few more times. Chris, Ruthless Chris, Big Dog, Ruthless Chris, you said that you could shed some light on what this is all about. Go for it, baby.
I could actually let you know what the whole thing's about. The first time was confusing for me too.
Yeah.
The second time around, it became a lot more clear. But also, did you guys pick up on what his job actually was?
No.
He's a fucking secret agent. Which gives it like a really weird subtext.
Right, because when I was looking it up, and they did say that there was a story of international espionage, and I was like,
yes.
What? I didn't pick that up
I didn't get that either. I was also looking it up after I watched it. I didn't get that. Okay.
So you remember how he came back from his business trip and he sat down with those men in that beautiful shot where they go around the desk and they have all those hanging lamps, and he's like, talking about his contact and how many vials the guy took and all this shit. He was setting up a contract with an international terrorist. He also said that his contact also wore pink socks, which comes into play at the end of the movie. If you remember, the guy running up the stairs that shot him, pink socks.
I do remember the pink sock reference.
This whole movie was made because the director was going through a divorce, and this is an allegory for divorce. The monster is an amalgamation of what she wants her lover to be, which eventually turns into him, which is her projecting her desires, her sexual shame, and all that shit, which becomes the monster, which is a monster within. It's all metaphor, but it's done. Yeah, it's done in real life. So it's basically like her shame, her lies, and her subdued sexual desires that are coming to light now that she's having these affairs. She's leaving her husband. She's trying to free herself a little bit more. That's what the whole subtext of the fucking thing is. But it's told in a very super dramatic. I mean, this movie is not casual watching. It is a lot of screaming, a lot of arguing, fighting.
There's a lot going on. It jumps around in time frames a lot too, which is like, because I at first threw it in and I was kind of doodling, and then I quickly realized that you can't do anything else while watching that movie. Like, you definitely have to focus on that movie because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of little hidden things from scene to scene. It is jumping around in time, isn't it?
No.
Are those?
No, it does a thing where it goes back to a previous version of her when he's watching the film that gets dropped off at the door, and it's her teaching the dance class.
Okay.
It starts as the film, and then it goes into what he's projecting onto the wall and presents it how it happened as if you were there. But it's also showing her psychotic side and how that she is probably not a great person and very manipulative because how she takes advantage of that poor girl and basically tortures her and runs her out of the class in front of the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this
but
is
also to play into the projecting, which is also why the monster turns into Sam Neill at the end, because it's everything she wanted her husband to be, but he wasn't, which is why he's confident and slick and all of that when he finally turns into Sam Neill in the end. Mic drop.
I'm super glad that you've explained this, because I literally thought that I have to watch this again before we talk about it.
Yeah,
there's a lot. It's a lot. And when Kelly said that there was time jumping right in the beginning, it felt there's a point where he wakes up and didn't he say 2 days or 2 weeks had gone by and he's all
3 weeks. Yeah, he's like, how long have I been here? And the Margaret, or what was her name? The other lady.
Margie,
Margie. Yeah.
Margie.
She was like, it's been 3 weeks. Or wait, was that his wife? Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot going on. You really had to pay attention to this. Like,
Did you also know that notice that the school teacher is played by the same woman that plays his wife?
absolutely. For a while, I was
Because
like, is
it's
he just seeing every woman everywhere that looks like, and just
he
imagining
gets
his wife?
he gets romantically entangled with this woman because he reminds of her his wife, and
Uh-huh.
it's a metaphor for trying to replace what you once had with what you think is the same.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of metaphor. It's a lot of art, and I dug it a lot. It was super
Yeah.
smart, super well done. When I was Googling stuff and looking up stuff, it was interesting to see that this is one of the British video nasties. So it had been banned in England
Mm-hmm.
and in a lot of other places. And when it was finally a release, when it was released in America and everywhere else, it was heavily edited. So
Yes.
what we're getting on Shutter is an absolute treat. You know, and I remember when that was a rumor going around. What was it, a month ago, that Shutter was shutting down? I'm glad that it hasn't, because
I
they
didn't
brought
hear
us some.
that.
They've brought us some true gems. Like, this is an amazing film to see an uncut version of. I know that you can get it on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, but the fact that we have it streaming is magnificent, and I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's never
them for
streamed
that.
before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That
It's
one
never
scene
streamed
where
before
she's
at
in the
all.
tunnel. The scene where she's in the tunnel and just like bleeding out of every orifice, and there's some good gore in that scene.
That's not even like gore. It's like there's blood and then there's like cum and slime
Yeah,
and
there's some green.
yeah.
What was that a metaphor for?
I'm not 100% positive on it, but I think that's her being overwhelmed with her grief and like it like purging from her. Like it becomes so overwhelming she can no longer contain it.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah, I
but let's
definitely
get
want
on
to rewatch this.
but let's get off of the metaphors because there's a lot I want to talk about performance
True,
wise in this fucking
true,
thing.
true.
Um,
Well,
A Heinrich. We got to talk about Heinrich. This fucking guy.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy like was ham on a bone in the most fucking possibly wonderful way. Like there's scenes where he's having temper tantrums where he's just like throwing himself at a wall,
The boyfriend.
yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
that strangely looks like God, what the fuck is that actor's name?
Oh, Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. He
Yeah, he
looks
looks a lot like Anthony Hopkins. I noticed
like
that
a
by
sex worker version of him.
like a young sex worker version of Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, for sure.
And he knows strange forms of kung fu. He's very proficient in fighting. Drives a motorcycle, has an ascot. Good stuff there.
Shirt always open, it seemed,
Yeah, he's showing that bird's nest
Always
off
had the
quite a
bare
bit.
chest.
well, yeah, no, like his interactions with the husband, Sam Neill, it felt like a very homoerotic tension between the
Yes,
two men.
It did. It did.
he's very handsy.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
when Sam Neill goes to confront him, like he's like rubbing his belly and has his hands on his shoulders, is getting like really touchy feely for a man that's over there like, yo, why you fucking with my wife? And then like even like after he beats him up, like he feels like bad about it and starts like holding him and caressing him until dude starts choking him,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a
And then,
weird relationship between all these characters, and like that, you couldn't help but notice that tension, the sexual tension between the two of them.
The way he was offed too. I mean, we're in spoiler town. Was just so weird. Like the first time I saw, I was like, "Where is this going?" You got Sam Neill in a toilet, overflowing a toilet, sticking a feather down his mouth. You're like, "What the fuck?"
Yes,
Yeah.
truly, truly bizarre.
And
The other performance I'd like to talk about is the world's best spy, the private detective, who is the most subtle private detective I have ever seen, who full on wind sprints at the person that he's supposed to be tailing, just terrifies her to the door, and then comes back 5 minutes later and pretends to be somebody else.
yeah, that's hilarious.
But she's crazy, so he still just makes his way inside her apartment, and doesn't she take him out and like feed her? Like that's the first person she feeds to the
Yeah,
beast,
to the beast in her
She
bed.
stabs him with a broken wine bottle in the neck.
right? And
Yeah.
then that turns out to
But
be
I don't think she feeds him to the beast because when the other guy comes through, his body's just like hanging out behind the door. I think she just killed
Yeah.
him because she saw the beast.
And
Maybe
then
that's
the
a
second
metaphor
guy
that
was like
she
in the
saw like the real side of her, and you know she couldn't have that. You know.
Well, I thought that it was interesting that this came out in 1981 and that private detective was another private detective's lover. Yeah, he was very concerned. Like the other guy that follows up is very concerned, and like he confronts Sam Neill's character, and he's like, why I'm so concerned? It's because we live together. They never directly say anything else except we live together. I was like, wow, that's kind of weird and
There's
progressive.
there's
It's kind of.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just thought it was progressive for the time to have like not flamboyant characters talk about being a couple, kind of.
And
Yeah.
it not being a plot device that bops you over the head, it just being part of the film.
Yeah, it was very subtle. I caught that as well.
One of the things I noticed too, like aside from that, is like I think there's a lot of weird subtext going on, like the stuff I was talking about with like the secret agent subplot, but also like I think this is like kind of like a Brazil situation where it's like kind of dystopian because if you notice, there's those like walls with barbed wire surrounding the city, and there's like men that are standing over and like staring at like the city over the walls and shit.
That's the Berlin Wall. Apparently, this was made around that same time. When I was reading about it earlier, they did make mention of it being like that, also having something to do with the plot, just for the time that it was in. But yeah.
Well, that it doesn't help that everyone has a different fucking accent in this movie. Like the girl's French, Heinrich's German. I don't know what the fuck Sam Neill was trying to do because Sam Neill's from New Zealand, and I don't know what the fuck accent that was he had in this goddamn movie.
Yeah, because
kind of American.
When I was trying to figure out where this was filmed, because I thought it was an Italian film, I was like, nope, West Germany and France. Because when you got so many things thrown together, usually you just assume it's Italian.
The only thing that really bonked it over my head as possibly being German is when they go to that bar and it has like a super German name.
Oh yeah,
it's like Schneithaus or something, like Schmiedhaus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like aside from that, it has like a really like everything just seems like off in it.
Yeah,
like and like even like the interactions, like she shows up at the apartment and she starts like she gets out an electric knife, and this is before they start cutting themselves up with it. Like she's just like cubing meat with an electric knife and then like putting it in a meat grinder, and then she goes. It's like she's just like, I just ground half this meat and now I gotta go.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Later there's a scene when he's laying against the counter, like you can still see all the ground up meat just right by his head. And I remember taking note of that. I was like, so they just did nothing with all that fucking ground up meat? All right.
The waste of beef. Beef. Well, it's not what's for dinner.
And the way that Isabel Adjani, I know I'm murdering that one. I didn't look up how to pronounce that one. Played Anna, I thought was amazing. You know what I mean? Like she, from what I read, she actually made this sort of like method acting, and she completely put herself into this role. And it took her, and she said that she was glad she did this when she was young, because if she was older when she did this, she probably wouldn't have made it back. She was actually consumed by the role for a whole year. And according to the director, she tried to kill herself because the role of Anna like totally took over her mind and how she thought. And I got to give her props for that. But that is a scary possibility to have such a demented role as Anna, the main female character, take over your mind.
And
well,
she
it wasn't even just
the
main character. She also played a whole nother role too. She was Helen too, the teacher.
Yeah, she absolutely killed it. In those scenes where she was like just going completely insane, like I mentioned the tunnel scene earlier, like there's a good 3 minutes of her just kind of like heaving, and like she seems very possessed, like right before the gore all comes out of her. But yeah,
the viscera.
Or even the time she's just looking in the camera and just like, reciting like what's going on in her head and stuff like that. Her eyes were not only the color, but how large they are really helped the character, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And I'm glad she did it because it reminded me of like something like Toni Collette in Hereditary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it's that
Yeah.
level of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
So well done.
And the other thing, like this is a movie that kind of just stands on its own. Like I can't really compare it to anything. Like it is like a completely unique experience to watch.
Mhm.
And the second time around, you really pick up on a whole lot of other stuff that's going on too, as well. There's layers within layers of this thing, and it's also really cool seeing like mid-20s Sam Neill. I'm so used to like old man Sam Neill, like from your Jurassic Park on ups. Like there wasn't a whole lot I saw of like younger Sam Neill and 81 Sam Neill. It was crazy to see.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that because he says that this is his favorite movie that he's ever done. Opposed to the woman who played Anna, who said like she could never do this movie again. He loves this movie. This is his to say that. Such a disturbing metaphoric film. An artistic piece like this. I think that says a lot about Sam Neill's character.
Well, he didn't have to fuck a tendril monster, so that probably helped.
That's true.
There is that.
That's true.
Speaking of the monster, did you? Another interesting fact is that it was created by the same person who made E.T. and made the alien in the movie Alien.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Queen Mother. So I thought that was an interesting fact that he had worked on movies like that, and then also did Possession, which is definitely a smaller budget art house film and isn't going to play. I remember going to see E.T. when I was like 5 or 6. Like that was my birthday. My family took me to go see E.T. And so making a family friendly Spielberg film and then making this monstrous art house film, it's completely different, but still thankful he did, because that monster, that Lovecraftian thing that is developed is so well done. I loved it. Like I definitely popped for that monster.
Yeah, me too.
The cool thing about the Shudder stream, I'll say as well, is that is a restored version where they fixed the picture. The first time I saw it was not that version. And in the old version, it's so dark you can't actually tell what the monster looks like. You can tell there's a monster. You see like tendrils and a shape, but you never actually saw what the monster looks like. When I watched it this time around, was the first time I actually saw it clearly what it is.
Oh, cool.
And that it actually, when it was laying on the bed, that it had like that glowing hollow belly that like you could see and shit inside. I thought that was a really cool special effects shot, and that was all lost in the version I saw before. So not only is it cool that this thing is streaming, but it's a far superior version too, quality wise.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad we got to enjoy the new, restored Shudder version, which I'm pretty sure if you want a physical copy, Kino Lorber is the ones responsible for that. So, I mean, it's great that, we do have boutique labels and streaming services that are taking the time and energy to bring us these cult classics that we would never see, at least not in these versions. And it's just an amazing time we're living in right now for cinema.
Yeah.
Well, what do you give it rating wise?
I'd give it a 4. I definitely want to rewatch it though, because I feel like that is one of those movies that would be better. So after knowing how it ends, then you can go into it a second time and pick up, the little extra things that I didn't see the first time around.
I think since I love Cronenberg, I love Lynch, I love Takashi Miike, and all of those filmmakers their films remind me of this, and this reminds me of that. I'd give it a 4.5. I feel like I definitely need to watch it again, just like Kelly said. And yeah, it's kind of like mind blowing. And it flew under the radar like this until Shudder threw it up on their streaming service. Definitely thankful for that.
So this movie, I'm taking a lot of factors in when it comes to my score. As Kelly knows, and I'm sure you're figuring out, Jeremy, I really like a movie with a lot of subtext where I can pick shit apart and like there's more going on than just what meets the eye. I think that's why I really responded to Empty Man so much as well. So it really ticks that box. It's beautifully shot, crazy good performances. Like everything about this shouldn't work if you see it on paper. Like the pieces shouldn't go together because there are parts that are funny, and then there's a lot of parts that are devastating. I mean, especially the way that the movie itself fucking ends. The last fucking shot you see is
man.
the kid drowns himself in a bathtub.
That poor kid, the whole movie. That's all I was thinking. Like, this poor fucking kid. Both of his parents are batshit crazy. Somebody needs to take that boy out of this situation. Poor Bob.
Poor Bob. He took himself out of that situation.
Yeah, well.
But you can find humor in it. You can find extreme gore in it. There's so many different threads going all the way through it that I'll give this one the very rare 5 stars for me. I highly recommend it. This is not something I'd probably revisit this every couple years just because of its intensity and the emotional toll it kind of takes watching it, because it is not casual watching it at all. Like you feel like you're in there in those fights, and like you are watching a marriage crumble. But
you feel the insanity, like just kind of how all over the place it is. It makes you feel kind of insane, just like
the insanity is at a maximum level in this sense. Yeah, and the way it's told does make you like question, like, what the fuck? Like the first time I didn't know what was going on either, and I went into it knowing all the threads this time around and where it was going to go, and all the players involved, and like that the wife was also going to be the same actress that played the teacher. What that possibly mean, and all the little fucking things, and like what the best friend's supposed to mean, and why there's a weird sexual tension there, and all this shit. So I went in there like ready to like all right, now I have like, it's like when you do a puzzle, and the first time and instead of just like doing chaos, you pick out all the ones that are the same color,
or the edges,
or you put the border together first. Like I went in that mindset where like I'm already putting it together and I already have a head start, and I'm like kind of slapped it together. So I give it the 5-star on that.
Oh yeah,
very, very, very cool.
Before we go out, I wanted to ask you, Germ. Kelly and I went and saw Megan already. I saw that you went and saw Megan. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. It's a fun movie, and I'm glad I saw it in the theater. Yeah, I liked it. It reminded me a lot of that Child's Play remake.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Very similar in tone.
Yeah.
And I remember when I watched that Child's Play remake, I'm like, this is good. But if they didn't call it Child's Play, I would have loved it.
Yeah, it would have been much better.
Here comes Megan, which is pretty much the same premise, except it gave me tones of Bad Seed and The Good Son. Those movies with like a twisted child sort of like killers. And I don't know why it really gave me that, because like a kid isn't a killer, but it definitely gave me those sort of tones to the movie. And I really liked it for that. And the soundtrack I thought was also an interesting pick. Yeah, I'd give it a 3.5 just because I liked it. I didn't love it, and it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. You can definitely tell that they cut out some shit for that PG-13 rating. Like there were certain scenes in there that you could tell they were building up to something, and then it just didn't happen.
That scene where we're gonna have the board meeting at the end, you could tell that they were setting up for a body count scene. When Megan was going to be unveiled, we need more people down there. We need more people. You guarantee that they cut out a body count scene right there. But yeah, it was cool. I'll give it 3.5 as well.
I'm kind of interested in the director's cut, but yeah, 3.5 is fair. I agree with that.
Very, very, very cool. This has been a lot of fun talking about Possession, talking about what we've been watching. Real vile. We like to keep it real vile, baby. All right, this has been your main rapper behind the motherfucking trigger, Mr. G to the E to the R to the M. The T stands for the, but you already knew that because you're a bunch of smart motherfuckers. All right, next week we got another mystery guest, like a mystery opponent. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but it might be somebody scary. Any last words before we go, babes?
Nope. Not tonight.
Check out Ruthless Pro Wrestling.
All right. Well, then I'm gonna say good night, everybody. Keep it spooky, keep it creepy. God bless America, and send news. Real vile forever.
Woo!
Hey, all you cats and kittens, all you ladies and lady killers out there in real vile land. This is your old pal, Mr. Germ T. Ripper, saying keep it spooky, keep it creepy, keep it real vile forever. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share all our content. Ow!